YUZUHA is back again, and she is still one of the most valuable supports in the game, even with Rivyn existing now. But how do her weapon options look like, and should you prioritize YUZUHA over Dialyn on the guaranteed banner? Well, let's find out today. Welcome, I'm Summer Rivy because it is way too hot outside, and this is your complete updated in-depth guide to YUZUHA. YUZUHA is a physical anomaly support, and unfortunately the only one at that still. However, Rivyn can take her spot nowadays, but for a few agents, such as Miyabi, that is not always ideal. Means the actual reality is, by being an archetype specific support, you will notice a massive difference between having her and, well, not having her. Well, at least if you skipped Rivyn, that is. Let's begin with the YUZUHA's unique resource called Sugar Points. It is, as per usual, indicated right below her HP bar, caps out at 6 stacks, and she begins combat with 3 of them. Casting her EX special or ultimate and chain attack, defensive assist or on-field parry, more on that later, will restore 2 and 1 sugar points respectively. What exactly those points are used for and why they matter we will get to in a bit. Upon hitting an enemy with either an EX special or her ultimate, YUZUHA will then grant a 15% damage bonus as well as a combat attack buff to the entire team, equal to 40% of her initial attack, capping out at 1200. To max this out, we need a 3000 attack in the stat screen. When paired with either another Spook Shack or Anomaly character, YUZUHA will provide an up to 20% Anomaly and Disorder damage bonus, depending on her Anomaly mastery, capping out at 200 AM, as well as a 20% anomaly build-up rate. This is Karma. Karma is very cute, might shoot you with his assault rifle or throw hand grenades at you, but outside of that, his primary purpose is to give you Kaboom the cannon stacks passively. Holding her basic attack will have her enter a parry stance to, well, parry incoming attacks, including AoE attacks and also red flashes, which then allows you to follow up with one of her 2 assist follow-ups. However, outside of some rather niche scenarios, such as Fiend's Intermission, this on-field parry will largely stay unused. So instead, let's talk about YUZUHA's hard candy shots and why her unique sugar points resource matter. When YUZUHA has any sugar points, whenever another active character's attacks land a hit, YUZUHA will join in inactively on field, casting an aftershock attack and consuming 1 sugar point. This can only happen once every 8 seconds. YUZUHA also features 2 EX specials. Well, arguably it is somewhat-ish the same EX special, just one is faster and one is, well, not. If we press her EX special right after an assist follow-up, quick assist or dodge counter, she will use the quicker shortcut version, which also inflicts a little bit less anomaly, and that can actually be relevant in terms of dilution for physical-based anomaly teams such as Alice, Piper or Jane. Upon the attack's heavy hit, the enemy gains the sweet scare debuff and a quick assist to the next character is triggered. And a said sweet scare debuff is exactly why her aftershock basics matter, so back to her basics. While an enemy is in the sweet scare state, they will take damage every second, and when said aftershock basic attack or her second assist follow-up hits an enemy in the sweet scare state, it will trigger an extra attack, which deals some damage and also more importantly builds anomaly. Both the damage over time effect as well as the extra attack caused by her alternative assist follow-up or her aftershock will accumulate anomaly build-up, but they are not taken into consideration in the damage formula when calculating the anomaly damage. Additionally, both attacks' anomaly build-up is increased and the anomaly they accumulate might not necessarily match her own element. When hitting an enemy with an attack of the same element as the controlled character for the very first time after applying the debuff, both her DOT and her extra attack will change the element to the corresponding last element used. This can only happen once per application of the sweet scare state, again that's the debuff, and using her EX special or ultimate resets the attribute of said debuff. As already teased earlier, YUZUHA also features 2 assist follow-ups, with one of them being better than the other. We can trigger the better assist follow-up by pressing her basic attack at the right moment, and we prefer to use this one if applicable. Lastly, both her chain and ultimate work as we would expect them to work, both triggering a quick assist, restoring 1 and 2 sugar points respectively, and also inflicting the previously mentioned debuff upon enemies hit. Her ultimate will also additionally restore energy to the team, that is. Quite a few of important factors, such as her increased build-up on the basics, the sweet scare debuff duration on her EX, and also the energy gain to the team from her ultimate are scattered throughout her kit. But because we don't need all of that at the maximum value for her to work just great, she is not all too expensive in her investment. We want to focus on her core skill, then basics first and foremost, followed by her EX special, chain and assist, and lastly dodge. Frankly, we can probably leave her dodge at level 1, and her debuff duration is long enough at skill level 10 as well, so for some it might be preferable to instead invest more into her assist follow-up, as it provides a good amount of days, and that can be important for some anomaly teams. Her gameplay also boils down to parry if needed, to press EX every 25 seconds, to maintain Moonlight Lullaby, and also her ultimate when available, so we will skip the combo section. Let's talk about her weapons instead. Yuzuha's best in slot weapon is not her signature anymore. Well, with nuance. Technically, Suna's signature Thought Bob can perform at least evenly, or possibly even slightly outperform Yuzuha's own signature. However, the worse your substats are, the better Yuzuha's own signature becomes. The breakpoint lies somewhere around 10 anomaly proficiency subs, give or take, on your other anomaly units, depending on the team and also deadly assault buffs. For most players and teams, Yuzuha does not need her signature, and you will be fine using something else instead, such as Kaboom the Cannon or also Weeping Cradle. Choose whatever you have available. Yuzuha wants a 4-piece Moonlight Lullaby. Yeah, that's it. As for the 2-piece, due to her core buffs scaling of her Anomaly Mastery, we are looking at a 2-piece Phaeton's Melody. As a side note, if you run her in a double support setup with a Suna for your Aria, for example, your Yuzuha does want to hold a 4-piece Astral Voice here instead, and no, your Suna cannot hold it. Well, technically she can, but it is significantly worse. Anomaly Proficiency in slot 4, attack percent in slot 5, and a non-negotiable Anomaly Mastery in slot 6 are her best options. If you're short on attack and need to hit the 3000 initial attack percent in slot 4 will do fine as well, with an Anomaly Proficiency main stat simply raising the team's damage potential. Yuzuha actually has some pretty clear stat goals, so I can talk about it. 171 Anomaly Mastery in the stat screen, about 3000 attack and 200 Anomaly Proficiency are good to aim for. If you run Anomaly Proficiency in slot 4, aim for 250 or more Anomaly Proficiency in the stat screen. As per usual, higher is better. Yuzuha's Mindscapes are very good. Her M1 allows you to start off combat with her EX special, reduces the enemy all attribute resistance by 10%, and also increases the maximum anomaly and disorder damage buff from her additional ability to 130% of the original value. Because her anomaly and disorder damage buffs applied depend on her Anomaly Mastery, and the maximum value being locked behind her signature, quite literally, the Mindscapes potential plays in tandem with you having her signature or, well, not having that. Yuzuha's M2 is, at least in my opinion, one of, if not the best Mindscape in the game, outside of maybe Hugo. However, the actual value of it will heavily depend on how you play. It provides up to 9, but usually 8 additional chain attacks to the team, with the exception of Nangong teams where it is usually 5 or 6. Regardless, however, it helps Jane maintain her passion state by allowing her to re-enter passion every 20 seconds, it generates more resources for the likes of Vivian and Alice, it allows Bernice to basically instantly apply burn due to the massive inherent anomaly application of her chain, and of course it also generates massive amounts of decibels because that is what chains do. That is not even mentioning the increased anomaly build-up due to the now reduced cooldown of Hard Candy Shot, as well as a generic 15% damage bonus and anomaly build-up provided by this Mindscape. We don't talk about her M3, M4 and M5, and her M6 provides an up to 315% disorder MB, which is pretty good. But it might also be rather difficult to use this in some teams, such as with Nangong Yu, as you would usually prefer to parry on Nangong Yu instead to hit 5 stuns easily, rather than parry on Yuzuha, which might only lead to 4 stuns. Still a really good Mindscape if used properly. Overall, I think a good stopping point is her Mindscape 2. I would prioritize her M2 over her signature, but her signature is better than her M1 if you don't have Thought Bomb. YUZUHA was the best in slot support for all and every anomaly team in the game. But now she is also effectively replaced by Remiel in all of them but one. Actually it's two, but anyway. She is still very good for a second anomaly team, or if you do not have Remiel. If you do not have Suna or Nangong, or you skipped Remiel, Aria does extremely well in a Velena team with YUZUHA. Arguably, this is Aria's second best team, only outclassed by the Remiel team. YUZUHA is a core member of Miyabi's by far strongest team, that being with Nangong Yu and, well, YUZUHA. If you want to play your Miyabi to great success, both YUZUHA and Nangong Yu are a must-have, otherwise the Mono Ice variation with Sokaku instead of Nangong Yu has to do here. YUZUHA was also the uncontested best support for physical teams until Remiel rolled along, so, well, she is outclassed by Remiel nowadays. The Mindscape heavy M2 monophysical team stays as being one of the strongest teams in the game, but YUZUHA is here yet again outperformed by Remiel. Lastly, it is also time for some Critney's propaganda again, because this is my channel and that is what I do. Just like Miyabi, Critney's really wants YUZUHA and Nangong Yu to perform at her best, but it is also a rather Mindscape heavy team as well. To summarize, if you plan on playing Miyabi or Critney's, YUZUHA is basically a must pull. Otherwise, however, she might nowadays be skippable if you have Remiel, that is. Unless you want a second anomaly team, in which case she is a very good pull again. Regardless, if you do not have Dialyn, please prioritize Dialyn in the guarantee rerun banner. Pros and cons. YUZUHA is still one of the best anomaly supports in the game, by being literally the only one, only outclassed by Remiel, who technically is an anomaly unit, and close to being a must-have if you plan on playing Miyabi, well, or Critney's if you are as crazy as I am. She doesn't need her signature, even less if you have Thought Bob. Her early Mindscapes are very good, and she fits in every anomaly team in the game that isn't with Remiel. Well, and again, she is outclassed by Remiel. Her investment is not all too expensive, and she does not really have any set choices either, however. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment on why YUZUHA is the best girl and whether or not you will pull for her and her weapon, and join the Discord. If you wish to support me, you will find a link to my Patreon in the description, or simply click the join button right below this video. Again, it gives you perks, it's nice. And as always, I appreciate all of you and wish you a great day. Peace!